Welcome back. When they're procrastinating, I know many of my clients wrongfully think that they just need to use more willpower, or that it's willpower that's letting them down when they fail. When you're dealing with productivity, I think it's critical to really understand how willpower works. First, what do I mean by willpower? Now, one definition is the ability to utilize self-control or the ability to get yourself to do something, oftentimes something that's difficult. Don't we all just wish we were robots and could will ourselves instantly to avoid that cookie, eat our vegetables, and go to the gym? But how does willpower really work? Now, I've heard many people who study willpower describe it like a muscle, and I think that's a great analogy. So just like a biceps muscle or any other muscle, if you're lifting weights in the gym, you can only lift a weight for so long. Now, the lighter the weight, the more reps you might be able to complete. But the heavier the weight, the fewer reps you'll be able to complete. Either way, at some point, that muscle is going to give out and you're going to need some type of rest and recuperation in order for it to begin lifting weights again. Your willpower is very similar. You have a certain reservoir of willpower that you have available to you, but once you use that up, you become very susceptible to short-term urges or emotions, even if you know it's not good for you. Procrastination, anyone? This is why you might look at those cookies sitting on your kitchen table and say no and hold yourself back 8 times. But finally, later on in the day, boom, you cave and scarf down 3 cookies in about 5 seconds. Or is that just me? Let's look at some real-world implications and where willpower and the example of willpower can have even more serious consequences. In their book, Willpower, Roy Boymaster and John Tierney, hope I pronounced their name okay, shared some research done by psychologists who monitored the decisions that judges made when deciding the fate of whether or not to release prisoners who were up for parole. The judges averaged releasing about 1 out of every 3 prisoners, but there was a really interesting twist. Prisoners who appeared in the morning got paroled about 65% of the time, while prisoners who appeared late in the afternoon got paroled about 10% of the time. Another interesting discovery, after a meal break, the judges became more generous again for a short period of time and awarded parole to most of the prisoners. Now in the book, they discussed decision fatigue and this very concept of willpower. What is the riskier decision for these judges? Is it letting a prisoner out or keeping them in jail? If these judges are on the fence, the least risky decision is going to say no to the parole and to put them back in prison. And in the book, they describe exactly what's going on. Their willpower is at their greatest early in the morning when they were given parole about 65% of the time. As they're making those decisions, their willpower is getting depleted. You'll see that after mealtime or when they took a break and came back and were able to replenish that reservoir a little bit, more people would get parole. But as they started to experience that decision fatigue and their willpower depleted, unfortunately for those prisoners that were up for parole, they received parole much less frequently than when their willpower was at its highest. It doesn't only impact judges. We're all human. Successful people and productive people know this about willpower, and they structure their systems and structure their day around this fact. Whether it's tackling their most important item first thing in the morning when they have the most willpower and before they start to eat away at that with decision fatigue, or whether it's saving the easy work or things that require less willpower, like returning emails for the afternoon when they know that willpower will be more depleted. Or if they set up their work in such a way that utilizes systems and habits so they don't have to use willpower at all. The good news is that just like a muscle, the more you exercise your willpower, the bigger that willpower muscle gets. Now, eating the right foods, getting enough sleep, staying hydrated, and taking breaks can help you to recharge your willpower. And these are all things we've talked about in previous lectures. But you must understand that your willpower and your self-control is just like a muscle used up over time. And if you run it too fast, you run it too hard, you're only setting yourself up for failure. So make sure you strengthen that willpower muscle and use it to your advantage.